I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
In Acts chapter 17, verse 26, when Paul was addressing the Athenians, he said that from one blood, God has made every nation of man and has determined their boundaries and their dwellings. It is because there's this uproar regarding the ethnicity of Kamala Harris. President Trump made reference to that when he was speaking to the national black broadcasters.
I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
What I will say is this: Kamala Harris is not black in the sense of being an African American, and I have firsthand knowledge of this. Like I've said in previous videos, my wife is Pakistani. I'm very familiar with South Asian culture. I have family members who are, on my wife's side, darker than me. My late father-in-law was darker than me. You can have somebody that has a darker complexion, and that person can be from India. That person can be from Pakistan. They have a number of different shades in Pakistan because they were a part in India the same way. They were a part of the British Empire, so you had a lot of intermingling like you had here in America. You have some Pakistanis that have blue eyes and have very straight hair and a very fine skin. You do. You have those. Same thing in India. Why do you think Bollywood is full of those people with those light eyes and the long hair? Because of the British influence. So Kamala Harris is not black, okay? She's not black as what a lot of black folks think she is. They assume that she's black because her father was listed as being from Jamaica. But Jamaican doesn't mean that you're black. I have friends that are Jamaican. They don't say they're black, they say they're Jamaican. And even if the person was in Jamaica, doesn't mean that that person was from a line of people from Africa. But you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to what Kamala Harris has said over the years and what has been said about her.
California's Kamala Harris is the first Indian American U.S. Senator. The state attorney general took on another Democrat, Loretta Sanchez, for the seat. It was the first time a Republican wasn't on California's general election ballot in more than a century. Though her win is historic, it's not really a surprise. Polls showed Harris leading by double digits heading into Election Day. And she received more than 40% of the vote in California's primary. Harris is a rising star in the party. Her name came up both as a possible VP pick for Hillary Clinton and as a potential successor to Antonin Scalia on the Supreme Court.
Hi, guys.
Wait, so here's what I want to know.
Okay.
Is it respectful to call, like, I should be calling you Senator Harris, right?
No, you should not. That's not on my birth certificate.
Okay.
Kamala? Yes, please.
Okay, because the Indian in me, I feel like my parents, my
Just
dad
don't
will watch this.
Just don't call me auntie.
Okay, I won't call you auntie. They'll be like, how could you call her by her first name? She's worked so hard.
And for those of you not aware, in South Asian culture and Pakistani Indian culture, they call them auntie. My wife's cousins, who are younger than her, call her auntie. That's a term of affection. That's what that means. That's why she mentioned don't call me auntie, because that's the way they speak to one another in the South Asian culture. That's just the way it is.
Okay, so what we're gonna cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because you are Indian.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that, but I find that wherever I go and I see Indian people at the supermarket, on the street, everyone's like, you know Kamala Harris is Indian, right? It's like the thing we're so excited about to have you running for president.
Yeah.
So we're both Indian, but actually we're both South Indian.
Yes. You look like the entire one half of my family.
Okay, thank you.
You do.
I've been telling people we're related already, so this is perfect. It's basically true. And so were you raised eating South Indian food?
South Indian food. Lots of rice and yogurt, potato curry, dal, lots of dal.
I'm showing you this because before she started running for president this time, Kamala Harris always identified as an Indian, as a South Asian representative, as an Indian American. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you play identity politics, what she's doing now with these Zoom calls that were broken out based upon race and gender, you have to play up the blackness card because the Democrats were losing black people. So they have to, that's why it was so disrespectful and so disingenuous what the Democrats are doing. They put up Kamala Harris, knowing that she is really an Indian American candidate. But they are letting the media and letting black people paint her as black in order to get the black vote. But unfortunately, black people are so caught up in blackness, so caught up in racial idolatry, so caught up in skin that they will not see what the Democrats are doing to them. They will not see the ploy the Democrats are using to keep their vote. They will fall in line and vote for this person, even though this person is not black. And some people may say, well, she went to the HBCU. She identified as black. No, she didn't. When she went to HBCU, when she went to Howard, she didn't identify as black. She identified as Asian. She identified as Indian. And they may say, well, how did she get involved in a black sorority? Have you been to college campuses and seen white people in black sororities? I have. I went to Alabama. I saw black sororities and black fraternities with white people in there. So why do you think it's a surprise that Kamala Harris would be a part of the AKA? She's light enough and she has the eye color to match. What do you think? But this reminds me of another episode in the recent past of a person who wasn't black, who wanted to be black.
Dolezal, good morning. Nice to see you.
Good, nice to see you too.
You've had a busy week. All the headlines, top trending item on Twitter. You resigned your post at the NAACP, and you've started a discussion on race and what it means in this country. Did this come as a surprise to you, or did you always expect the lid would be blown off your story at some point?
The timing of it was a shock. I mean, wow. The timing was completely unexpected. As to the second question, I did feel that at some point I would need to address the complexity of my identity.
Let me just, we can't talk about the big picture that you have created without talking about the small picture first.
Right.
Let me just ask you the question in simple terms again, because you've sent mixed signals over the years. Are you an African American woman?
I identify as black.
You identify as black. Let me put a picture up of you in your early 20s, though. Mm-hmm. And when you see this picture, is this an African American woman, or is that a Caucasian woman?
That's not in my early 20s, but...
That's a little younger, I guess? Yeah.
I think I was 16 in that picture.
Is she a Caucasian woman or an African American woman?
I would say that visibly she would be identified as white by people who see her.
But at the time, were you identifying yourself as African American?
In that picture, during that time, no.
Your parents were asked this question this week, and they didn't have any trouble answering it. Here's what they said. She's clearly our birth daughter, and we're clearly Caucasian. That's just a fact. Your father went on to say she's a very talented woman doing work she believes in. Why can't she do that as a Caucasian woman, which is what she is? How do you answer that question?
Well, first of all, I really don't see why they're in such a rush to whitewash some of the work that I have done and who I am and how I've identified. And this goes back to a very early age with my self-identification with the Black experience.
Self-identification with the Black experience sounds very, very similar to what Kamala Harris would probably say as well. She has self-identified with the black experience, and it's natural. I mean, my wife has told me stories about when she went to a HBCU in Winston-Salem, how they thought that she was black. Because there are so many similarities between black people, African American, whatever you want to call us, and South Asians, Pakistanis, and Indians. There's a lot of similarities. So people who are not aware of the similarities will automatically assume that a person who has features that are similar to black people will be black. And you know, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem comes in when you use that for political purposes, when you use that for political gain. That's when the problem comes in. And these Democrats love to play identity politics on people. They love to use ethnicity and intersectionality as a wedge to stifle criticism. See, they're using this blackness stuff to stop the Trump campaign, to stop Republicans from criticizing her. They're using the black, they're using the women card to prevent. See what they want to do? I'm giving you some insight in the strategy they're using. They have a short amount of time, and they don't want Trump and his allies to be able to paint Kamala Harris for what she is. A San Francisco liberal who is anti-God, anti-biblical, who stands up for everything that is progressive and everything that is against America. So the Democrats are smart. So they had her come out as being black. Now, for the past 3 years, Kamala Harris has never said that she was black. As a matter of fact, Kamala Harris herself has never come out and said that she was black, as far as I know. But the Democrats know that, so they let other people project on her. It's a smart strategy. It's a very, very smart strategy because it's a short amount of time that people will not be able to uncover, because people don't think for themselves. They're smart. They know that black folks by and large and the American populace by and large do not think for themselves. They only respond to what they are told. And so if they let you paint the picture that she's a black woman, then that allows them to have her defined by you and not by the Trump campaign. It's smart. It's smart because they know that people will vote for her because it's historic. Why didn't they just say, no, she's Indian? Because they knew that would not get the traction in the black community by saying that she's black. You have to understand that. And that's how Democrats continue to keep black people as victims. They continue to manipulate and control the mental state of black people. They continue to brainwash them through the media to believe things that are not. They gaslight them. This is another episode of Democrats gaslighting black people. We're not victims. We are empowered for greatness.